Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Whether it's hot yoga, over 100-degree weather, or too much sun. Gatorlight, with a specialized blend of 5 electrolytes, was scientifically designed to help move fluids into the body faster for rapid rehydration. Shop now at retailers nationwide. Gatorlight hydrates faster than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day 1, or day 2, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in-minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey everybody, happy Monday, episode 667 of Coach Unplugged. Today we're going to talk to I'm going to give you a foreshadowing here on kind of what's going to happen with the podcast. I'm going to pivot a little bit. We're going to keep the interviews. We're going to keep the teachhoops.com members. We're going to add a couple things I think people have asked about, kind of the drill of the day, some tips of the day, kind of things moving forward, and making the interviews a little bit longer rather than breaking them up. Maybe, put them into 2 days rather than the 3. So we're going to do some things to just kind of help the listener kind of get what they need. So we're going to do that. Today we're going to talk to a teachhoops.com member. I'm going to try to keep these on Mondays. We're going to talk about building a program and simplifying. But before we do that, I'd like to give a big shout out to our true sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the number 1 shooting machine on the market. It is everything you need to become a better shooter. Shoot or shoot. That's as easy as it goes. So go over and check it out. Mention Coach Unplugged. They'll give you $350 off. That's the first thing. Second thing is go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. I'm so excited where the site is coming. It's been working on it almost daily, setting up a blueprint for you to become a better basketball coach, making it easier to kind of find the stuff. It is a great community. It is great like-minded coaches. I know how much the coaches are liking the individual workout stuff that I worked up for their teams on an individual app and all that kind of stuff. So go over and check it out. And before prices increase, because I got to pay the programmer. So go over and check that out. And let's head off to the podcast. And I hope you enjoyed this week's Q&A with Damien. It's great. It's talking about building a program, how we can simplify things and make it easier on ourselves. So I think you'll really enjoy this week's podcast. All right, we're here with Damien. Help me pronounce your last name. I'm live in Wisconsin, so pronouncing names I'm horrible at pronouncing names. But help me with your last name again.
My last name is Barrera.
Barrera. It's all that. Yeah, I got to get those R's going. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you first before we get going here.
Well, my name is Damien. I coach in Southern California for the girls basketball program in Orange County. Okay. And we are a Division 5 AA school right now, which is pretty much second to last, if not last, depending on what teams are in there, and for the Division 6. And I've been coaching for 4 years, going into my 5th, and this will officially be my first year as head coach of the girls basketball program.
Okay. And what size is that in relation to so people listening?
The size of the school is about 2,000, and we're kind of probably in the middle, I guess, as far as but it's very, in our city, we actually have 8 high. So just to give you a kind of a breakdown, we have a couple private, actually, if you throw in the private schools like Mater Dei, which is a powerhouse.
Oh yeah.
In all sports, right. They're a private school. So we have about, actually, the city of Santa Ana, we have about anywhere between 12 and 14 high schools, I believe.
That's crazy. Like, questions you have. I know you asked about a couple things in the bottom. You just took over the program, so this is perfect for everybody that's listening. So go ahead and ask those, and then we can go through any questions you have.
Yeah. So when I first started coaching here, I kind of came from more of a basketball town where everyone in the town that I grew up in, you're born with a basketball in your hand, and so it was very high level. The girls program at my high school when I was playing ball, they've won about 12 state championships, a couple national championships.
Okay.
And so when I came to this school, my mind was, okay, well, high level basketball. And I've learned the hard way that, hey, I got to start basically like I'm coaching 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds as far as basketball.
Right. So the girls haven't played a lot before you get them?
No organized, about 99% no organized experience before their freshman year in high school.
Okay. And wow. So you are literally starting from the beginning. So do you have feeder programs that feed into your school?
Well, here's the interesting part about our city is that we're an open enrollment district. We were once the brand new shiny school, and now we're not. And most of the reputation is there's a couple better high schools where the feeder program goes into that school. And it's hard just to bring kids here just because of the reputation of, bad academics. The neighborhood's a little rough. So we have so it's hard for parents to want to send their kids.
What's your solution to that?
My solution is that the other, I would say the powerhouse program as far as public schools in our district, they're having a lot of turmoil, some scandals that aren't, coaches were being inappropriate with the girls. So I think I've had a few parents actually hear about what we're doing for our girls. And I think that's kind of been nice that, we've been approached by parents that would usually never send their girls to our school just because of the culture and environment we're creating in our program.
Right. And I think that's what I was hoping you were going to get to. I think it's all about culture. So I don't know if how much you've mapped out the year, but I would definitely start thinking about, it's a lot easier to sell them on the person you are and the program you want to run, the younger age, than when they're just coming in. So I know stuff I did initially was I ran I got out in the community. I ran free clinics. I ran free things. Now I'm charging because I have a reputation, but then I was just trying to make connections and relationships with people so they could see what I was about. Especially in a big city, like, the parents are always looking for something. Even if you charge $5, it doesn't matter. Just so you are building some relationship, because you got to think about this as a marathon, not a sprint. And and it's really hard in our profession to do that because we're judged on quantitative rather than qualitative values. And this gig is more qualitative than it is quantitative. It's more about the relationship. So that would be the first thing, especially if that's going down in the city. I would try to do that. I don't know the rules in California. Can you have contact with your girls in the off season and stuff like that?
Yeah, we pretty much go all year round if we want to. I've just started actually spring basketball. We bought spring basketball to this school last year, and it actually paid a lot of dividends as far as win losses and kind of creating that culture.
Yep.
So and this year we're beginning.
Right. And I think it's about building that, like, just getting in the gym. Some days are going to be good days. Some days are going to be bad days. We're doing this together. It's kind of like going off into battle. You want to fill that. So I would try to do as much of that. Do you have problems with multiple sport athletes?
I do, but because of what we kind of created, we're actually starting to become kind of funny. Usually the programs that are losing a lot aren't this way, but because of the culture we put a lot of emphasis on, we've actually kind of become the group on school that a lot of the girls want to join. Whereas before, 4 years ago when I got there, we had the athletic girls and they would play soccer instead of basketball. And now they're actually starting to come over to our side, which is kind of nice.
Well, and I think it's the kind of thing that you build to these girls. And I remember doing this too. It's like, you are going to be the ones that people are going to talk about 10 years from now. You're going to be the ones that turn this thing around. You're going to be the ones that, are they going to be the leaders that, I think you got to feed on that a little bit because they still are teenage kids. I call it their ego food. You got to give them some ego food. And the ego food is you are going to be this group that's going to help us put us on the map.
Absolutely. And I think, we created some new traditions where the seniors kind of give a speech at the end of when we had the banquet a couple months ago. And you can really tell that every younger, lower level girl was really looking up and, hey, I want to be like Kate, or I want to be like Maybelline. And it's been nice that everyone's kind of coming back and they're still hanging around the gym, kind of talking to the lower level girls. So it's starting to become something special, which is nice.
And the thing is, especially if you do run a camp and you do charge or something and it's whatever it is, or you run it through the Y or whatever, then I always love getting those alums back. I give them a couple $100 $500 or something, and get them to they make a little cash. I get them in the gym. I get some workers. It's a win-win for everybody. But it's building that community. That's
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm putting that down.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Wherever you can build community. I mean, I'll have my team. I'll have them, and I've said this before. I don't know where I've said it, but I build my relationships with my guys not during the basketball season. I build my relationships with them in the off season because I don't have anything they want. I mean, I have it down the line, but this is when they can see me as a person. I have them over to my house. We'll do a barbecue. We'll do that kind of stuff. All that stuff is so that basically what I'm doing is I'm depositing money into the bank so that when I have to get on John in January, I can pull from that bank and he still knows that I really got his back, but that I'm doing it out of I'm doing it out of love. I'm doing it out of expectations like a parent does. If you only yell at your kid, you don't have anything in that bank to pull on. So I think especially when you're building programs, that's super important to be able to do that, especially over time.
That's a great point because, we did a lot of team bondings and it was great. But now that you mentioned it, it'd be nice to do that during the off season. That way we're kind of ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Rather
and the
than
thing is the team bonding is great. And I take my teams, we go on some trips and stuff. That is really good for them building with each other. But I'm still the guy that decides who goes in when and who shoots what and that kind of stuff during the season. So it's harder, I think, especially when you're building something, to build that in during the battle. It's a lot easier to build it outside of the stresses of the season. And mom says I should be playing more and shooting more. And, Aunt Sally came to the game and I didn't play and all that kind of stuff is going on outside. So it's a lot easier during the summer when there's maybe not as much, or the spring or whatever, as much of that kind of stuff going on. You wrote on here rebound. You wrote on here a couple things that you really wanted to talk about too.
Yeah, the first one was rebounding and the second one was communication.
Okay.
And, we're that team definitely trying to make those long possessions. We do have a shot clock here in California, 30 seconds for the girls. And so we definitely have to be in the 40s. Right now, we're trying to create, and actually I use a lot of those templates that everyone's been putting up for shooting programs and everything.
Good.
And the ones that you've been putting up as well. And they've been working. I mean, we've done it for a week, and because our level, we start so low, we have such a high ceiling now that after a week is just.
For people don't know, I put in our community, I put a shooting template that basically keeps track of shots. I did it for my son. Now I set that like the 40% for threes, 50% for twos, and like 80%. So you'll notice there's colors changing. If they're not meeting it, it will change the colors. So if you want me to tweak any of those percentages, just send me an email and I'll tweak them for you.
Okay, that would be great.
They're high right now, so a lot of that stuff might be. So what I'm saying is, for people listening, it's like basically if you're like 2 for 3, that's 66.6%. The little box will be green. Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying this. Make sure you subscribe no matter where you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Apple. We love those Apple podcasts, and we're doing really well on those Apple podcasts. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. We always ask our players to get better and work on their game. I'm challenging you to do the same thing right now and come and work on your game. And then if you're looking for some more listening stuff, don't want to pay for Audible and want to listen, we also have High School Hoops that Jake and I put on once a week. And then we have Teacher's Side Gig. For all those teachers that have a side gig and trying to make ends meet, come over and listen to other teachers that have a side gig. It intrigues me. I love doing those podcasts. So, all right, let's head back to ours. Bye. But if you're shooting, 20% from 3, the box will all of a sudden go yellow or red. And I'm just trying to give them indicators of whether they're doing well or not, just a little positive and negative. Yeah, I think it's, I'd been tweaking it for about a year and stuff. The entire family got home. Thanks, Drew. That's my son. So let's talk about rebounding real quick. So how do you do rebounding now in practice or over those kind of things? Because it sounds like you're gonna have a small team.
Yeah, well, we play. I do a lot of different rebounding drills. We play man-to-man defense right now, just keep it basic, and we'll have where help site rebounding, guarding, rebounding skills, that kind of stuff. But I just for the girls and their skill level, they're picking up man-to-man defense really well, which I think is a lot harder than the concept of rebounding. But for some reason, it's just and we're a small team, and we're going to continue to be a small team because none of my freshmen are tall even.
Right.
And it's just one of those things where how do I
girls,
how do I get them to make that a habit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girls don't grow late. When they're by the time they're freshmen or sophomores, if you're gonna have a tall team. Okay. So this is crazy, but we were all like 6'4" this year. So we were relatively small this year. So we had some rebounding issues too. And I don't remember which book I read it in, but basically what you emphasize, they're going to do. And you can't emphasize 16 things, but if you emphasize 2 or 3, they will do them. I put one assistant coach in charge of rebounding, and we emphasized it every day in practice. Now, emphasizing is fine. That will move it from like a D to a C. Then you have to do specific drills where you're like, we play something called cutthroat, where I give different point values to different things. And offensive rebounding is like 4 points. You'll play to 12 or something. So we'll play little games where I'll emphasize not turning the ball over, or rebounding, or, you get a point for defensive rebound. So we do little tweaks of that, depending on what we're emphasizing, but rebounding is always one of those, because it's never in the stat it's in the stat sheet, but it's never in the score, the score box, the box score,
right?
Never in that kind of stuff. So I have to emphasize it in practice and give rewards to it in practice, so they'll do it. And then it go again. Boys are a little different than girls. I basically feed on the boys' egos, and then I also tell them that rebounding for you. If you get an offensive rebound, I am never going to tell you not to shoot the ball right away again.
Gotcha.
So offensive rebounding is easy to sell. Then defensive rebounding is the one that's harder to sell. It's kind of like our charge thing. We give kids specific things if they take a charge, because there's really no reward in it. It's the same thing with defensive rebounding. It's like you get something in practice, like extra points, you're the leading rebound, whatever. You have to emphasize defensive rebounding all the time, because it's a habit of boxing out that has to occur. And all those drills are fine, but I have never found those drills, and everything I've read and seen, those drills are great. Izzo's probably one of the best rebounding coaches, and everything he does is competitive as far as rebounding goes. So every drill that he does, he has an element of rebounding in it. And if you've ever watched his teams, they're crazy on the boards.
Yeah, definitely.
So and that's how he does it. I mean, obviously he has very athletic players and stuff, but they just rebound unbelievable, in my opinion. And that's one of the reasons they are able to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So just try to make it a little bit more competitive, probably more a little bit game-like. Because we're also not even going against tall teams as well. So the fact that we're struggling with defensive rebounding is even more of a little bit of concern. But I think you're right. It's just more putting that emphasis. I think I was trying to do too many good things last year.
Yep.
And if I just kind of keep it to a few
I'm
things,
telling you, I can't handle turnover. My players would tell you right now that I'm like a Bo Ryan. I cannot handle when you turn the ball over. That is just like, because it's 3 points we can score, couldn't score now, and it's 3 points. It's a 6-point turnaround every time you turn the ball over. So they know that I do not handle turnovers well. So that's one of my points of emphasis. You can't have 7 of them, but I have that on the top of my practice plan: turnovers, rebounding, whatever we're specifically that season we need to work on. So every day I'm pounding on that stuff. So you got to pick your battles. Basically, it's like parenting a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that 6-point turnaround. I think that's a good way to.
It could. My coaches laugh because I'll say we're down 4, and I'll say it's a 1-possession game. So it could actually be an 8-possession game. 8-possession turnaround. So the other thing you wrote was communication.
Yeah. So I wrote there, like I said, we built the culture so much that it's a very great environment for the girls, and a lot of the girl teams on the other boards, there's a lot of infighting, and kind of proud that we don't have a lot of that in our, we obviously have that. We want some of it, that way we can grow from it. But for the most part, it's very, self-policing, where some have admitted to bullying and all that. And it's been great. That doesn't translate onto the court as well. And I'm trying to figure out why, obviously the IQ is not there that maybe I had in high school, where it's just, hey, drag or drop or whatever it may be.
So
we're not having that.
So again, I'm stealing this quote. I don't know who said it, but a quiet gym's a losing gym. So I always tell that's something that you want to tell them all the time, because
love that.
A quiet gym's a losing gym. So here's what I'm gonna. My boys hear this story all the time. I say, in the most important game you ever play in, you will not hear me. And they look at me like, what are you talking about? I go, well, if this gym is packed, which is, again, I'm the believer in you. Our goal is to win this thing, or districts or conference or whatever. I don't hide from it. Old schools hide from it. I don't hide. Our goal is this. And if our goal is not this, then you should go out for the ski team or something. I don't know. But you're in the wrong spot. If your goal isn't this, you ain't in the right spot. So I put that out day one. I would put out that the next team meeting. Our goal is to win, and we want to win. And so we always talk about that. So anyway, so I'm talking about ours goes regional, sectional, state is the way ours goes. It's a little different. But anyway, in the sectionals, the game to go to the state tournament, we will play in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people, and it will be packed gym. And I tell the boys, you will not hear me. You might not hear the person standing next to you, let alone me. So you guys have to communicate, because what it's going to come down to is a ball screen. If you don't talk to that ball screen, we're going to lose. If you don't do this, so we talking is a you're not talking, we stop breath. That is probably in our top 2 or 3. You can't play if you don't talk, because you can't play defense if you don't talk. So if you're a man-to-man team, what I would do slowly over the spring, if I'm guarding the ball, I make them call ball. Okay, I got ball. So then the other 4 people know they need to be in the help line. The other 4 people need to know where they are, or they're up the line, or depending on whether you're playing pack or those kind of things. So that's how you can start the communication, is the person that has the ball yells ball. So then the other 4 defenders know that person has ball. Then we can talk. You can add to that. That's what I would start with initially, until everyone's doing all the time. And then the other stuff will happen with, hey, ball screen, screen right, all that kind of stuff is more advanced. Start with calling ball. Once they get that down, then you can start calling, help line and ball screens and those kind of things. And I call them out on it. I go, you guys are Snapchat and you're talking in the hallway, you're talking in the locker room, you're talking while you're stretching, but then as soon as we start playing, you stop. What's wrong with, communicate? Yeah. And I'm sure it's the same with yours. I haven't found a coach that hasn't told me that's not the same.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I like that. I think sometimes I probably got a little bit too ahead of myself, or, it's just like any other progression, right? Instead of, using, all right, we have to say this, you have to say that.
Yep. So and we'll talk again. This is only gonna be a half hour today, but we'll talk again. But what I would do is, like, you're a PhD and they're a middle school student. Like, you're a PhD student and they're a middle school student. So what you have to do is it's harder. Like when I'm a math teacher. So when I'm teaching pre-algebra, it's a lot harder than me teaching pre-calc, because I got to go all the way back to when I had to add like terms or something. For the math people out there will know what I'm talking about. But I got to go all the way back here to where I'm not. That is really hard for you. So, hard for any coach. So what I would do is really try to kiss it. I'm sure you've heard of that. Keep it simple, stupid. Go all the way back on a piece of paper and simplify. This is how I'm going to teach the ball. This is how I'm going to teach helpline. And then the advanced stuff. So as soon as they get that, those progressions are going to be really easy for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah, because you're dealing with.
I never thought about a progression for communication.
Yep. So in the off season, you should think progression. How am I going to teach them man? How am I going to teach them my quick hitters? How am I going to teach them my out of bounds play? How am I going to teach them how to come off the court and shake everybody's hands? How am I going to teach them how to huddle when there's a dead ball? Literally assume they know nothing. And this is really hard for me. I've been doing this 30 years. I have a piece of paper because I assume they know how to do it. And if the kids have been around, they do. But all these new kids come in, they don't know this is how we do pregame. This is how we do huddle. This is all that kind of stuff. You literally got to sit and do it. And I think that's in the community under basketball philosophy. I think I have a printout in there somewhere if you go and dig. I can find it for you, that I basically broke all that stuff down and say, that goes back to the communication part. You got to communicate to them if you want them to communicate with each other. All right. So takeaways, any takeaways, anything you need help with? We'll do this again for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is a good start. And I just want to thank you. I know I've been looking for that mentor. Don't have anyone around here. So it's been kind of. No,
this will be
nice
awesome.
To see. Yeah.
I was doing office hours and it wasn't working, and we would get 3 or 4 people. This is better and especially with the spring and the summer, I am more free. So I'm gonna open it up again for people that weren't able to get in, because the 5 of you signed up so fast. It was like, holy cow. So I'm gonna sign it up for the next round, and then if you have any questions, email me. I'm always checking that email or anything else. All right, Coach?
Well, thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate everything you do.
No problem. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. If you like the podcast, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, jump up and down, run around your house, whatever you need to do. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Have a great day.
What you think of my new saddle, Lizard?
Oh yeah, it's swell, mate. Proper comfy.
Just one of the upgrades I've added to this puppy.
What else have you got on here?
New air intake filter, quick shifter, and a beefy muffler.
Well, that's why you ride with Geico motorcycle insurance, so you can cover your custom parts and equipment. Now let's hear that muffler purr.
All right, hang on tight to my love handles.
It feels good to ride with help. It feels good to Geico.